My name is Alana Staten. I grew up pretty much knowing about Jesus, knowing about God. Around age 16, I was really involved in a really great local church, and I came to be baptized. So, grew up pretty strong in my faith. My husband and I met at UNC Charlotte. I was getting my major in elementary education, and he was coming back to get his teaching certification. We were really good friends in college, and then I actually moved to Ethiopia after I graduated, and I started talking to him the old school way, like through letters. And we would write letters to each other every week and just wait for the next letter to come, and we reconnected that way. So we fell in love over letters, actually, long distance. We were newly married, we just bought our first house, we just had our first kid. Things were really, really great in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, I lost my job. Trying to find a new job, couldn't find anything. So the only thing I actually found at the time was overseas. So we moved overseas, but we had just bought our first house. So we tried to put it on the market, and at that time, in 2009, I believe it wasn't gonna sell. So we lost our huge investment. It actually decreased $80,000. We were total loss. So that was kind of the start of everything right there. And then while we were overseas, my mom got cancer. So I felt like I had to come back from that. And so we came back, tried to start a new life in the United States. Everything was going pretty well, and we were resettling, and we got pregnant with our second child. And I was so excited. You know, we'd prayed about it for so long. And I heard her heartbeat and everything was great, and then one day it just wasn't. I was in the doctor's office doing an ultrasound, and they just left, and I knew something was wrong. So we had to wait for like an hour for the doctor to come back in and tell us. And he said, "She's gone." So, you know, it seemed like something that I'd prayed for so long. It was just one day there and one day gone. That was really hard for me to cope with. And the grief that I experienced during that time was so intense. Like, it's the kind of grief that just crawls at you. I didn't understand at all. Just didn't get it. So I lost faith. I was completely and totally angry at God. I was confused. I didn't understand why, and I kept asking that question every single day. Why? Why me? Why? It wasn't until many months, almost years later, that I understood something. God has told me very clearly that He wants me transformed and not informed. Like, it's not necessarily important for me to know why. But through this process, I have grown, I've changed, and I know that part of the reason for it is just for me to reach out to other people who've been through things like this and just let them know that there's other people who care and want to be near them. We hadn't been to church not like strong faith church in a long time. So we came, and it was in the middle of the Holding Pattern series. And what Robbie was talking about during that series was sometimes when planes are trying to land, they can't so they're put into this holding pattern where they just have to circle, and they have to wait to land. And immediately, Rob and I looked at each other and we said, that's us. Like, if you look back through all these things we've been through, we have been in a holding pattern. We have been trying constantly to land and just feel like we can exhale and feel settled in our lives, and we haven't yet. And it was kind of neat to just be able to relate to that on our first sermon series. So we knew this was the place for us after that, because it was like He was speaking directly to us, and there was a message directly for us. And that message, honestly, was that even when you're in the midst of all that, God still very much cares for you, and God still very much wants to hold you and tell you it's all going to be okay, because it is. So, you know, there's purpose in everything. I think now we feel just like we have a sense of hope for the future. Just because we've been going to Hope City Church doesn't mean, you know, everything is rosy all the time, because we still have had quite a few trials since we've been here. But I do feel like when I'm in the middle of something, you know, when life is all consuming, I can think back about what Robbie teaches on Sunday, or think back about the women that I'm able to fellowship with and their encouragement, it's really just given us an opportunity to have a weekly little bit of soul food that was so desperately needed before, that I didn't get in any other format. So compared to where we were, especially 4 or 5 years ago in the middle of all that junk, we're definitely happier. We definitely have more hope. I know I do.